Future of Management Education by BW Education.
Thank you for having me.
So, how is it going? How's the event going? How are the panels?
Very interesting opening keynote speech by Mr. Shivakumar. The 12 points that he mentioned, I can connect with most of them, and I think that's a lot of interesting tips for B school leaders. Yeah.
Okay, so if I ask you, what have been some of the most significant changes with the incoming of Gen AI into the curriculum, into the industry, and how are the B schools integrating it in the curriculum, and what are the challenges you guys are facing?
Okay, so generative AI has been around since 2022 end, right? And with the advent of ChatGPT, and students were actually the first ones to adopt it. Faculty came into the picture much later. In the beginning, we thought of it as sort of an adversary. ChatGPT or generative AI was seen as some sort of a problem area. But then, after a couple of discussions in faculty council meetings, we realized that it's better to embrace it rather than to fight it, right? So our approach changed completely. When we went from an adversary role to let's work with ChatGPT or generative AI, the whole approach of faculty changed. In fact, right now at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon, we have completely allowed ChatGPT to be part of the learning experience as well as the assessment experience, right? So we are teaching are encouraging our faculty to design questions in such a way for evaluations where the students can use generative AI for base level answers, but also there will be a level of individual customization that they have to do, and that's where the students become evaluated more as smarter students and average students. You know, the differentiation happens. So instead of saying that, we should completely ban it, we are saying that let it be part of our learning experience. Now, the way I look at it, the generative AI, etc., is that there are three aspects to every student's life, right? One is the classroom learning, the other is the peer learning outside of classrooms, and then, of course, the assessments and everything which happen, right? Which then ultimately culminates in a great placements. So in all of these three areas, we've tried to keep the generative AI consciousness alive. We have introduced courses. In fact, we are doing courses like prompt engineering, which is basically helping students to leverage generative AI much better than what they would do without knowing how to use it. Okay, so that's one of the things that we are doing. We have introduced courses in this particular domain. In fact, Great Lakes Gurgaon has always been known for artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing courses, and how it is to be used in management. So we have almost a decade of experience in all of these new age technologies. So when ChatGPT and generative AI came along, we were quite comfortable, thankfully. Yeah.
So, as a B school, what are the changes you would recommend to the workforces, the corporations around? Because there is lot of talk about people experiencing a lot of pressure at their workplaces. So, how are you preparing your students for that? And what is that one suggestion you will give to the corporations to make changes in the work environment?
So there's this huge debate between work-life balance, which is going on for a long time. Okay, there are startup founders who say that 80-hour week is normal, so please live up to it. There are more traditional companies which say that we are all about treating an employee as an employee, and also that person has a life outside of the organization. So this dichotomy between corporates, different kinds of corporates, startups versus traditional companies, is very, very strong, right? Now, most of our students, they go into companies which are modern, right? New age, IT, ITS, consulting. These are high pressure environments anyways, okay? So we train our students to to go through a very rigorous program, right? So for example, our 1-year program, students don't even know whether it's January or February or March, right? It's that heavy, the load, right? The 2-year program have a little bit more free time, but those free times are supposed to be used for self-development, for understanding different aspects of the topics that you already like. Do your own study, self-study, reach out to industry, do project work, and so on and so forth. Why do we do this? Because we understand that we can only control the corporate to a certain extent, right? We can only tell them that it's nice to have work-life balance. I think the fact of the matter is that organizations have also understand that to deal with Generation Z employees, you cannot use Generation Y standards. They have also understood that, right? So except for startup organizations where the pressure is extremely high because it's a startup culture, right? So students who go there are trained in a different way. So especially after placements are done, the guys who are going into traditional companies are, given a lot of advice on how to navigate that kind of company, and those who are going into a startup culture, they are given a lot of advice on how to deal with like a 12-hour, 14-hour, 16-hour work day, right? And managing extremely tough bosses who want results yesterday, right? How to deal with them. These are some of the things that we do to help our students. And as far as corporates are concerned, our message to them is that, see, ultimately you are hiring somebody who you would like to keep for a long time, right? So don't cut your feet by making the work environment so tough that the youngster wants to leave, right? Because today's youngsters are very clear. They want to work as a means to a livelihood. They want to go enjoy the world, travel, eat well, make friends, socialize. It is not like our generation where we used to work, just for one company for a very long time. The second aspect that corporates have to understand is that they have a lot of choices, the students. 12 months of work experience in one organization, they will jump to some other company if you don't take care of them. So I think it's in the longer interest for corporates to be more reasonable of what you expect from students who are joining the workforce. However, as the world is becoming more and more competitive, as organizations are struggling to survive, as they're trying to fight off the layoffs that keep happening, students who join these companies will have to work harder or maybe smarter. Okay, so I think both sides' messaging is very important. That's what we do.
That's a very insightful answer. I hope people get help from it. And thank you so much for your time. It was lovely talking.